Alright guys, we are back. I've recorded my last 3 videos all in the same sitting, which is why I'm just constantly in the same clothes. I feel like I could explain this all the time, but because my videos are kind of simple to record, I tend to do them in bulk so I can then edit them through the week. Whatever, no one cares. You're all here to hear about Halloween. If you haven't already, I advise you check my previous video out. It's 5 things that I did like about this film, 5 things that I loved, I believe I titled it, about Halloween Ends. And just quickly before I get into the 5 things that I didn't like about this film, as I said a little bit in the previous video, while these are definitely things that I dislike about this film, and this video is going to come off pretty negative in general just because, you know, I'm speaking about things that I didn't enjoy. You know, one thing I do want to make clear is that I'm not on this like Halloween Ends hate bandwagon, you know, where if somebody really enjoyed this film and didn't find any flaws, like I think they're idiots or whatever and they aren't true fans. I think one of the great things about this franchise, and what's a really good conversation starter with other people in this community, is that, you know, there are different timelines, there are so many different things we can go back and watch in, you know, different orders. We can mix and match things, we can take films out. But yeah, let's get into it. So at number 1, Michael Myers, just in general. Now I am somebody that will pretty much watch anything that you put Michael Myers in. I'm a Halloween franchise fan, but I also can be very aware that there are definitely times where I put just my love for Michael maybe above that and what's maybe best for the franchise. So yeah, as you can imagine, for this film, seeing him this week and how he was in this film just felt wrong. It made me sad. But just aside of like just Michael Myers as a character, I was really excited to see what James Courtney could bring to this final film. I've mentioned it in previous videos before, and it's nice to know that a lot of people think the same thing, in that James Courtney has absolutely smashed these last 2 films. Yeah, I'm not saying he did anything wrong in this film, this isn't like his fault, but I just really was excited to see him back in action. I thought we were going to get a little bit more of him. You know, we were all kind of preparing for Michael to take a back seat a little bit in this film. You know, it felt a lot like, I'm sure we've all seen the memes where it's like Halloween in 2085 and it's like Michael escapes the nursing home. It felt a lot like that for me. It felt weird seeing him so like powerless almost, and then Corey's like screaming at him to get up and kill that cop, like he's demanding it from him. You know, Michael's on the ground kind of just, he looks like he's been caught so off guard, and it just felt a little bit off and wrong to me. So yeah, for me, Michael in this film was definitely not a strong point, which is sad because I absolutely loved him in the first 2 of this trilogy. So number 2, an issue I had with this film is that it felt like a completely different world to the previous 2. And by that I mean we had some great stuff. Like, as bad as Kills was to some people, I think we had some great stuff building by the end of Halloween Kills from the previous 2 films. You know, we had a really nice in-depth look at Hawkins and his character, and we got to see kind of into his mind a little bit and how Michael is, you know, he really wanted redemption and he seemed so like adamant that he was going to get it, and we got this backstory that felt like it was kind of the main point in the flashbacks, if anything, but it was just like Hawkins didn't really, but we just didn't get any kind of like resolution or end to like what felt like was developing there. We also got a bunch of new characters, which I don't have a problem with in itself, but when we kept people like Lindsay and Hawkins alive, I just thought kind of why. You know, at the end of Kills, I was really glad that those 2 survived, to now me kind of feeling like I kind of just wish that they had been, maybe not both of them, but I kind of just wish they had been killed then, when I felt that emotion toward them being killed. If that makes any sort of sense, I feel like it would have just made it more powerful rather than them just kind of fading out after Kills and having absolutely nothing to do with it. I don't even really think we even see Lindsay at the end. I forget what Laurie calls it at the end of the film, but basically just, you know, where they go to kill Michael and have that midnight, I don't know, was it a procession, something? But yeah, it just felt like the film had forgotten and completely moved on from what had been building and implemented in the previous 2 films that like made us care about these characters, and we wanted Hawkins to get that resolution, or, you know, to find peace in that. Coming in at number 3, because there was only 3 of them, was the lack of Michael kills. And I don't want this point to seem like I'm being greedy considering what we got in Kills. You know, we were coming off of an absolute rampage in what Michael did in Halloween Kills, and I definitely was not expecting close to that again at all. But in this entire film, I just didn't see a Michael kill that I really enjoyed. I think the nurse maybe takes it for me as my favourite kill that he did. But even though it was like a callback to Bob's death in the original, and that alone is one of my favourite kills in the entire franchise, it's like, to me, it's Michael's like trademark kill. It's so significant. But when I was watching it, I just didn't feel it for some reason. And then especially when it ended, I just thought there just wasn't really enough that made me scared of Michael like I was in kills. You know, even if it was just 2 or 3, like 3 tops, just a couple more kills. You know, maybe if we could see him take somebody into the sewer. Obviously, I'd made a video on this person, but there was that missing persons thing of Megan Baxter. You know, maybe we see how she dies. Yeah, I just didn't really feel like I got enough to satisfy me from Michael in this film. That being said, Corey had some great kills in this film. So just in general, it didn't feel like there was a massive lack of kills. It was just more Michael. Like, that's who I wanted to see kill. But number 4, I didn't quite understand where Michael was in terms of how powerful he actually was. When I was first watching it, it feels like that kill, the first one that we do see where he gets it on that cop. You know, we see how that kill almost like kicks him into gear, kind of gets him more functional. And you know, I thought, oh, okay, right, he's getting there, he's getting stronger now. And then we go to see him pin that nurse up against the wall, which, you know, again, he's lifting her up, he's killing her. I thought I'd enjoy that kill a lot more when seeing how it was looking like it was going to go in the trailer. But, you know, again, like, he's killed again now. He should be getting stronger. But then a little bit later on comes a scene that I just hated, and it was when Corey's wrestling with him in the tunnel. It's that kind of still shot where we can kind of just see it through the circular entrance thing of the tunnel into the sewer. You know, it felt like a comedy show when they're going out of frame, coming in closer into frame, then going out, coming back in closer. And even though the scene baffled me and I was so like not alright with it, I couldn't help but laugh when I was in the cinema the first time. Like, I just chuckled to myself. I think just because I couldn't quite believe what was happening, and then Corey just drops Michael right on his back, on his arse, and it was just cringy for me to watch. And I didn't get it at all. I really couldn't tell where Michael was. And then coming in at number 5, the final point is about the final battle of this film between Michael and Laurie. You know, there's an argument to say that it's my own fault for watching trailers and stuff. You know, I tried to keep fairly out of this one. I didn't even end up seeing all of the TV spots. You know, I watched the 2 trailers. But when I was watching the final battle, I thought in my head, I remember getting excited because I thought, right, this is when it's going to get good. Like, it's Michael and Laurie now. This is what we're going to get for the remainder of this film. But then it was like out of absolutely nowhere. Michael is on his back, pinned down to a table, having his throat slashed, his wrist slashed. You know, Allison's breaking his arm. It felt like I blinked and he was just down, dead, done. And I know that's an exaggeration, but in all seriousness, I really can't believe how much of that final battle that we had already seen through the trailers and the couple of TV spots. Like, nothing of it came as a surprise. The biggest surprise for me was just that was where Michael died. It was like, without realizing, I had literally already seen the final battle before even stepping into the cinema. And I think at first I felt a little bit misled in general with the film, but more specifically because I thought this was going to be Michael versus Laurie, you know, the final time, the big ending, you know, to something that's so strong and significant in the horror community. I felt like what we got was a completely separate thing. I feel like we just got a little quick snippet at the end, but then that is the climax. Especially coming off of 2018, where I felt like the final battle was so good. I really loved that final sequence in the house in 2018. I thought, you know, with them doing that, I thought this final one is going to be insane. You know, I was expecting somebody not to make it out of like Hawkins, Allison, Laurie, Lindsay. I was like thinking who's going to go. In the end, it was just like no one important really died, which again, it's a different thing. It caught me off guard. It definitely wasn't predictable. It wasn't predictable for the wrong reasons to me. You know, I didn't feel like I felt emotion really. I just felt like, you know, my brain just had static going through it at the end of the film. Like, I just didn't really like it. But yeah, that's 5 things that I didn't like about this film. Again, I advise that you watch the things that I did like about this film. You know, I'm not shitting on this film or this trilogy. I think this trilogy is a great addition, even though I do feel like it had a weak ending. I feel like we got some great stuff out of this trilogy. But yeah, subscribe if you like Halloween, Michael Myers, or just any kind of slasher mainly films. If you did enjoy, please leave a like. As I said, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.